Hey besties, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something that we did about a year ago where I went on Reddit and I read Am I the Asshole posts that had to do with reading and books. And I thought, why not do it again? Because it's been quite a while. I wanted enough time to go by that new stories could populate on Reddit. And so I literally just searched the word book and read on all of the Am I the Asshole posts. I will say some of this is loosely bookish. Like if the word read was in it and there was some sort of written word involved, I will probably include it. Also, before I dive into these bookish Am I the Assholes, I did want to say that I did a Patreon exclusive version of this video with my boyfriend Aaron. We actually just reacted to regular Reddit stories. If I'm sharing my mans with someone else, no I'm not, we're getting a divorce.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think karma comes around to those who deserve it, and I think the bitch was meant to die.
However, she practically leaped in front of me and touched my privates. Without a second thought, I hit her. This is way less serial killer than I was thinking from the title.
I think I'm going to make this a series on my Patreon where Aaron and I just read stories that my patrons want us to read and react to like crazy things on Reddit. So I definitely think you should head over to my Patreon and join the besties here if you want to see that. Am I the asshole for not owning any books by female authors? I'm a first year in university and just finished moving into my dorm. I brought a few books I like from home, specifically a collected works of Plato, Metamorphoses by Ovid, a collection of 19th century Russian short stories and poems, a few works by Dostoevsky. That one's a little tough for me. A few works by Mishima. Oh, a bunch of other pretentious stuff. I don't feel like reading it all. Anyway, a bunch of old dusty men. In other words, nothing that would be out of the ordinary or anything I bought anybody would think much of either way. I had invited a few people to my dorm because we were talking and I had some wine. A couple people remarked that my room was really nice since I kept it neat, had fresh flowers, etc. One girl looked at my bookshelf and declared it was a red flag that I didn't own any books written by women. She said further that if I had brought her back to my room to sleep with her and she saw these books, she'd back out. This made me roll my eyes because I truly don't think it's that deep. I responded back asking why she thought I'd even want to sleep with her to begin with. She got angry, called me an asshole, and stormed out. Most people say that she was overreacting and that I shouldn't worry about it, but I'm wondering if she might have been right. Am I the asshole? I'm gonna start out by saying that I think that this girl was quite aggressive. I don't really know why she came into his bedroom. Clearly they don't know each other very well and he's just like, getting to know people and she's just like judging him. I feel like if they were like really good friends and she was like making fun of him like as a joke, like, oh, it's a red flag that you don't have anything, I could see it being more like tongue-in-cheek if it was from a friend. But I guess I wouldn't say that OP is an asshole. Like, you don't have to have books written by women, but I do think it might be a little valid that a girl would come to his room and see that he doesn't read anything by women and not be turned on by that, or like think that was kind of off-putting or a red flag. I'm sure he's a fine guy. I don't know if I would want to date a guy that reads a bunch of like pretentious like Plato shit. To each their own. If he's having a good time reading that, love that for him. And if he's in university, he's probably gonna have to eventually read books written by women because he's like learning in school. Okay, this next one is one of the ones that is loosely related to reading and books, but it's not really. Am I the asshole for reading my teenage daughter's diary? I, male 35, have a 16-year-old daughter. I've been a single father since she was about 3 years old. We have a really good relationship, but I always worry about her not having a woman to talk to. Over the past few months, she hasn't really seemed to be herself. I know she went through a bad breakup, but I've been worrying it's more than that. I've tried talking to her and my sister only lives down the street, so she's also tried talking to her. My daughter is really keeping to herself and it concerns me. She went out to see her friends yesterday and asked me if I could give her room a quick tidy while she was gone. While I was in there putting clothes back in her closet, I stumbled upon what I now know to be her diary. I shouldn't have read past the first page, but I just wanted to know if there was anything going on she wasn't telling me about. There was some pretty heartbreaking stuff for a father to read about how down she felt about herself. So when she got home, I brought it up to her. She asked me why this was suddenly coming up, and when I told her I'd read her diary, she absolutely flipped out and told me it was an absolute violation of privacy and she's completely humiliated. I told her I was just trying to protect her. She said it's none of my business and locked herself in her room and hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the asshole? This one's a little cut and dry. OP is definitely the asshole. I don't think you should be ever reading your daughter's diary. That was an interesting choice that this father made. I get that he was worried about her and that it didn't come from ill intention, but that's really private, and good luck to him because now his daughter is probably never going to tell him anything ever. He's also probably done some irreparable damage to their relationship and she's never going to trust him again. So good parenting. Am I the asshole for kicking someone out of a book club for pirating the book of the month? I started a book club 5 years ago and it's been very successful. We had our meeting about a week ago and someone was pretty new to the group made a comment about how she never buys books. I thought she meant she was a big library patron, but she snorted and called libraries old-fashioned. I asked her how she got the book and she said, well, I downloaded it on whatever site. I was shocked to hear that and suggested she get a library card if she can't afford it. She got very offended and sniped back, I can afford it, but why would I if I don't have to? We sometimes have authors join us via Skype so we can talk to them about the book. Imagine how embarrassing and awful it would be if one of the members told the author she stole the book. I ended up discussing it with a few longtime members and we asked her to leave. We tried to be nice, but let her know that stealing wasn't acceptable. She got angry and told us that everyone does it, and that no one said that it was a rule of the group. It wasn't a rule because it never even crossed our minds. She dragged us online. She has turned it into a social justice and class inequality issue, making comments about how book clubs are always rich white people despite her also being white. White women, you know, if they have anything, they have the audacity. You know, I know this even personally, you know, white women, it's hard. It's hard for you to be self-aware. You just gotta try harder. You really do. This one again is pretty cut and dry. OP is not the asshole. I didn't really know what was gonna happen going into the story. I was curious if there were more extenuating circumstances about why this person would have pirated the book. And the fact that she insulted libraries and called them old-fashioned as well was kind of a weird dig. Like, I love the library. I don't know why you would say that. So OP's definitely not the asshole. And this lady is, unfortunately, and she's no longer welcome in their book club. Am I the asshole for telling my friends that my husband isn't well read? My husband, let's call him Will, is in the Navy and he works on nuclear reactors on submarines. We've been together for 4 years, married for 2. We were at a small house party with a few friends of mine from college and we were discussing books we've all read. When at one point, one of my friends, let's call him Steve, asks Will, "So Will, what's your favorite book?" And my husband responds, "Oh, I really like To Kill a Mockingbird." Then Steve gives him a quizzical look and asks him, "Have you read any books outside of high school?" And Will hesitates a bit and says, "Outside of manuals at work, I guess I haven't." So then I tried to explain to Steve, "Oh yeah, he's not well educated, so he's never had a reason to be well read." We all had a good laugh, but then Will didn't really contribute a whole lot to the conversation the rest of the night. On the car ride back, Will was pretty quiet. I asked him if he was fine, and all he says in a sarcastic tone is peachy. I asked him if I did anything to upset him, and he responds back, "I don't know. I don't think I'm educated enough to properly explain myself." I tell him I didn't tell my friends that he was unintelligent, just that he wasn't college educated. He accused me of minimizing how hard his Navy schooling was, but I explained to him that military education and college education are simply not the same. We continued to fight until we got home. I texted my sister about what happened, and she called me a huge asshole and said that I need to apologize, and now I'm having second thoughts on how I handled this. This woman had the audacity to straight up call her husband dumb to all of her friends and embarrass him in front of a bunch of people who were already looking down on him, because her friend Steve being like, "Oh, have you not read anything outside of high school?" was already being an asshole. What's crazy is that her husband literally works on nuclear reactors, which sounds complicated. She also kind of misled us all with the title, saying that all she said was that he wasn't well read, but she literally said he's not well educated. I don't know, very rarely will I say throw the whole wife away, but I'm gonna say it today. I think this woman needs help, and I hope that she apologizes to her husband and grovels to him, because this was really crazy that she would say that. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter to read less? My daughter is 22 and she has a steady but starter job in her preferred field and rents her own place. I'm very proud of her, and she's always been a great kid. She works from home, and whenever she has breaks at work, in between calls, etc., she reads. She reads before going to sleep, she reads on weekends, she reads on car rides, etc. She spends pretty much all of her free time reading. She's always loved reading, but she's doing it too much recently, and it's all fiction novels, not one book for her university studies. She's a one-time dropout trying for a second time now. I get that it's a hobby, but it's basically wasting her time. It's not really gonna give her anything. Yesterday, I was driving her somewhere and we were chatting in the car and the topic of books came up. I tried not to say anything at first because she was so excited over it and I didn't want to ruin her excitement, but then I sort of realized I needed to intervene. I started talking to her about how she needs to read less and focus on university more. She tried to change the topic. I pointed out that instead of reading a billion novels each week, she could use half that time and use it to study for university or for something else that's not just time thrown away, like a sport. The talk escalated a bit and she got really upset, saying how reading is the only hobby she has time for these days. She used to have other hobbies like video games, gardening, etc. But it just doesn't make sense to me why she has to read so much. I'm not telling her to stop reading altogether, just to read less. She kept insisting that she doesn't spend that much time reading. She just consumes books very fast, making it seem like she's reading a lot. But honestly, that's just an excuse. In the end, what happened is now she's upset with me and doesn't want to talk to me. Her dad thinks I shouldn't be interfering in what she spends her time on as an adult, and I still think she needs a wake-up call. But it's been bothering me. Maybe I was wrong and her dad is right. I don't think so, so please give your opinions. This one was just very funny to me because I am someone that reads like over 100 books a year, and I literally have a YouTube channel dedicated to books. And I just don't really know how this girl reading is affecting her mom. Like, why does her mom care if she reads a lot? I'm glad that my mom is actually why I like to read. My mom loves reading and she never discouraged me from reading, but I can't imagine just being so concerned about what your daughter's doing. It'd be one thing if she was flunking out of school again, because I know she like randomly threw in that comment that her daughter had like dropped out of college the first time and she's trying again. Like, clearly she's probably getting her university work done, and also she already has a job in the field that she wants to work in, so I don't really know why you care. Also, the mom went out of her way at the beginning to be like, I'm so proud of her, she's a great kid. All right, then let her read. Like, why is that a problem? And if she doesn't want to play video games or garden, perhaps she's just in her hot girl reading era. Like, leave her alone. I don't know, this one can very much be summed up in a mom caring too much and having very specific beliefs and opinions about what her daughter should be doing with her time. I'm gonna have to say that this mom is not currently being a very good mom, and she should probably hang out with the guy who read his daughter's diary. Okay, this next one is actually from relationship advice. I just wanted to mix it up, but it's someone writing in to ask for advice, and the title is, my boyfriend insists on reading for 2 hours every night. I have been with my boyfriend for about 10 months, and everything is fine apart from one thing that kind of bugs me. He is an avid reader, and sometimes I think he values his books more than he values me. He isn't at college or university, but he believes that knowledge is power and thrives on learning new things. He carries a book with him wherever he goes, and he also reads on his dinner breaks at work. He's a very intelligent man who knows so much and could talk to anyone about history, philosophy, etc. for hours and hours on end. He certainly knows how to keep a conversation flowing, but a lot of times I don't have a clue what the words he uses means, and I don't know too much about things like philosophy. I just wish we could watch TV at night, but he insists on being in his study room reading a book. For 2 hours every night, I'm left alone whilst he's in a room in the same house, and he doesn't like to be disturbed. My friends think that I'm bonkers for even suggesting that something is wrong and that I need to find a hobby or something to do when he wants some time to himself. Are they right? Yes, girly. They are right. I don't understand couples who need to be in the same room at all times. Like, the fact that he's only even reading for like 2 hours at night is not even that long. Like, I have read for like 8 hours straight before. 2 hours is nothing. He's probably not even finishing a book in that time. Also, it feels like she's just kind of like insecure that her boyfriend is smarter than her. Maybe if you want to know about philosophy, you should read about philosophy. But I definitely think this girlie needs a hobby, because why can't her boyfriend do his own stuff? I really think that OP needs to chill out and just let this man read his little books, because he's having a great time. Honestly, it sounds like he's reading like nonfiction and stuff and like bettering himself as a person. And the things that she likes about him, she said he's like really smart and he can hold conversations with people, are probably because he reads books. So she just needs to let him be. Maybe she should read books and calm down. Girl, calm down. My wife has been reading vulgar Harry Potter erotica. We have been married for 2 years, dating for almost 4. We haven't had much sex in a couple months. Lately, she's been masturbating every morning as soon as I leave for work. I found this out because one day I was late for work, I heard her alarm go off and caught her in the act. She admitted she sets an alarm for my leaving to masturbate. I told her I thought it was cute and I moved on. We use each other's phones often, and yesterday I was using it a lot more than usual. Well, she fell asleep a bit earlier after being on her phone and I needed to look something up. So I pick up her phone and go to Safari. The first thing that popped up was this erotica book. I don't typically snoop, but as I was navigating to open another tab, I read a few words that caught my eye. It was something like, the quivering reached Draco's lips, to his legs, to his lungs as he moved Hermione's robe. So I thought, wait, what the fuck? That wasn't in the book? So I read a bit further. It got bad. Every single chapter has intense, hard erotica. I looked the book up and it's tagged things like mirror sex, oral sex, masturbation, smut, wizard fucking, dark possessive behavior, controlling sex, rough sex, losing virginity, healing sex, marking, and the list goes on and on and on. In my opinion, it's harder porn than anything I've ever watched. This man has never been on AO3, clearly. Now, I've never been jealous. I've never cared how she tends her own body. Nothing like this has ever bothered me. However, a few months ago, I was doing something similar. I won't lie, I watched porn. When she found a video open in my Safari tabs, she flipped out. She reamed my ass, told me it made her feel unwanted. It was the same as cheating on her, and as though though she wasn't enough. A part of me says it's not a big deal, it's just an erotic book. Another part of me that I cannot seem to shake is jealous, mad, and now I feel gross because I'm recognizing that when she reads this book, she will start touching me intimately for bits at a time throughout the evening. It's detailed about Draco's penis and Hermione. We are in a gay marriage. Oh, interesting. Oh, they're both women. I totally missed that. Anyway, so it's two women, married, lesbians. And so now she's like, oh no, does she want Draco's penis instead of me? Okay, this makes more sense about her being jealous, because I was just like, why does this man care? She'd rather read about Draco fucking Hermione, question mark. I feel horrible about this. And though simple erotica is no big deal for me, the effect it's had on our sex life, the fact that it's entirely different than I can provide for her, and the fact that she sets an alarm to work it around me feels absolutely shitty. The way I feel is that this is just as bad as any other porn addiction. It's upsetting me immensely. I'm gonna start by saying that I feel like there's a big difference between actual porn, like with real people, where people are potentially being exploited, or, you know, there's very interesting things going on in the sex work industry, some of it good, some of it bad, and then a fictional, like, fan fiction situation about Hermione and Draco. Like, they're very different, but I kind of do understand why OP feels this way, because it feels like her wife is avoiding her. They're not having sex. She is, you know, setting an alarm for when her wife leaves so that she can masturbate. So that altogether, like the full picture, makes me kind of understand why she would feel this way. And so I don't think she is, well, I guess this is an asshole. I was gonna say, I don't think she's an asshole. That's not really what she's saying. I think she's asking for advice. I guess she just needs to talk to her wife and just say like, hey, like, let's talk about us not having sex. Does it have anything to do with the erotica? Yes or no? And if it doesn't, then they just need to figure out a better way to fix their sex life. I don't know, maybe go to a couples therapist, a sex therapist. There is an update here, and she said, I talked to my wife about it. I told her how I felt insecure, as if she was choosing that over me, and also that I was worried that she was into imagining Draco. She told me that she didn't read it like that, and that the storyline is really good. She profusely apologized for making me feel that way, and that she started reading it because she felt insecure to the point that she couldn't have sex, but that it was helping her through her insecurity, and it was influencing her to slowly start initiating sex again. She said that she felt embarrassed and could see why it felt similar to watching porn. We then compromised that instead of reading it alone and going down rabbit holes, that we would read it together and have a fun time whenever it made us hot. Sounds like a happy ending for the lesbians. Love that for them. Okay, this is the last one I'm gonna read. It's, am I the asshole for reading young adult books? I, 33 female, have been dealing with depression and anxiety since a car accident I was in earlier this year. I used to be able to read 4 to 5 books a week, but the depression took my joy of reading away, among other things I had. Once I started to feel better, I started reading some of my children's books. As I got better, I slowly started reading longer books. Currently, I'm reading YA books. In my area, the local library has a service that allows you to check out books through their website. My husband usually picks up and returns my books, as I have anxiety attacks when I tried to get into the car. I had a friend that wanted to come by and see how I was doing, and she offered to get the books from the library for me as she was going that way. When she got to my house, she didn't have the books, and I initially thought she forgot to get them. My friend was talking about some of the books she got while at the library, so I asked her if she remembered to get my books. She said, no, I chose not to get them for you. Those books aren't for you. They're made for children, and you're a grown woman who should be reading grown books. She then proceeded to hand me some books she brought with her. I have read some of the authors she's given me. I said that right now I do not want to focus on those books. She told me I was being ridiculous and that I needed to get over myself and grow up. It's just a book. I handed her back the books she gave me and told her to leave. I talked about it with another friend, and they said that I was overreacting and I needed to push myself to get better. Opie needs some new friends. I don't particularly like to read young adult anymore, but I read young adult well into my 20s. Like, I was like in my late 20s before I stopped reading young adult. Now it's just a personal preference. I don't really resonate with the characters or the plots, but I'm happy for OP that YA has been a great way for her to like overcome like this car accident that she was in and her anxiety and depression. I don't know, I think she needs new friends, because the one friend that told her that she was overreacting is crazy, and then the friend who literally wouldn't pick up her library books is also crazy. All together, we should just throw away these friends, because that's really insane behavior. Whenever I read Reddit stories like this, I'm just like, imagine having all the audacity in the world to just do stuff like that. Like, just simply go, no, I didn't pick those up for you because you're a grown woman and you should read grown books. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video of me reading Am I the Asshole bookish edition. I would love to do this again, but it's actually kind of hard to find book and reading related things on Reddit. So I have an idea. If you want me to make another one of these videos, please share your stories in the comments. I would love to use your comments for like Am I the Asshole in the future. So if you have had anything happen to you that's book related or reading related, related that kind of airs on the side of like relationship advice, or am I the asshole, or am I overreacting, like those kind of subreddits, that I would love, love, love for you to leave them in the comments. If you made it to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, use the cherry emoji in your comments down below because of the little top that I'm wearing. And I thank you all so much for watching. You're all beautiful. Have a nice day.